This is the real reason why you are struggling to lose weight, because you have to learn to lose weight by letting go. Let's get into it. First of all, you are carrying heavy emotions from over 7 generations. These emotions are not even yours. All of your grandmother's resentment, hurt, pain, shame, and guilt got passed down to you. Her mother and her mother before. When you hear people say that certain diseases run in their family, what they're really saying is there's a certain mindset that runs in their family. As above, so below. On the physical level, we see it manifest as weight gain or obesity, and can call some of this epigenetics, which epigenetics is the cell mutation that occurs across generations without it changing the actual DNA, but just how the gene gets expressed. So our cells mutate according to our emotions and how we feel. So if you had a great grandmother who was constantly in a state of depression, then her cells mutated to make depression a normality. So then that is expressed and gets passed down to your mother and so forth. Same thing with hereditary conditions, celiac disease, and other genetic markers that we know gets passed down from generation to generation. All of this is what we would consider to be in the physical. But everything begins in the spiritual realm first. So, in the spiritual realm, our negative self image and our poor mindset conditions about our self image, how we see ourselves, what we think about ourselves, when that gets damaged, then it expresses itself on a physical level. Does that make sense? Okay, for example, people who say diabetes runs in their family. Diabetes does not necessarily run in your family. Eating habits run in your family because whatever is being cooked in that household, everybody is eating it. And the other thing that actually runs in our families is our thinking patterns. So the way that you think about things, your limited beliefs usually are coming from your parents' limited beliefs and the limited beliefs within your community. That is how we learn. So diabetes itself doesn't run in our families, but the thinking and the conditioning and the mind pattern is what runs in our family. So weight gain occurs in the mind first. It occurs through overthinking, worry, and stress, grief, fear, shame, guilt, anger, pride, apathy, and gluttonous desire. See, I said gluttonous desire because it's okay to have a desire, but not so okay for it to be a gluttonous desire, which really means kind of greed. This is the map of consciousness. So these feelings and emotions that are in the lower state of consciousness is what keeps us from losing the weight, because we are holding on to these emotions: scorn, hate, craving, anxiety, regret, despair, blame, humiliation, and resentment. As long as we are holding on to those emotions, they put a lot of weight on our hearts and on our emotions and on our minds. And that leads us to make decisions that we normally wouldn't make if we were feeling our best self. So it leads us to food choices that aren't healthy. It leads us to inaction, which isn't healthy. It leads us to not really want to do much, or we could be doing a lot, but not really getting much done or much accomplished because our mind and we are not present. We're somewhere else. So weight gain occurs most times because we are holding on to emotions that we are refusing to let go. Come back for part 2 on how to let go of those emotions that are causing you to gain weight. Part 2 of lose weight by letting go. How to let go of the spiritual weight that is keeping you physically fat. Now, let me just say that I have also gone through this experience. This is why I can now teach about it. I had gained like 50 pounds in my marriage, which I was in an abusive marriage. And as soon as I left that relationship and I really started to work on healing myself, as I was trying to figure out how was I able to even attract such a partner that would abuse me mentally and physically, And through my healing process of looking at my adverse childhood experiences and the things that had occurred over my lifespan, I was really able to get down to the root of what causes us to gain weight and to keep weight on us. And so I'm just now going through the process of informing everyone I know who is also dealing with weight gain or weight not being able to lose weight to show you all how thoughts become physical things. So stay with me. So you've heard of the saying, as above, so below. And it is absolutely true. Thoughts become things. So everything begins in the mind first, which is also the spiritual realm. So think about it like this. Everything that you see around you that you use on a daily basis, your car, the lights, the makeup, anything you use on a daily basis, all started as an idea, all started as a thought first before it became physical. So it starts as a thought, and then it starts to form into maybe a plan or a way of getting it done. And then the last step is it actually physically manifests into being, like the light bulb or the car that started as an idea in somebody's mind first. So how we are set up as humans, everything happens in the 5D first, which is the spiritual realm, which is equivalent to the thought. Then the second step is then emotions, is that once something happens in the spiritual realm, it then becomes an emotion for us. And that is equivalent to the become part. And then the third step is that it actually manifests in the physical, and that is equivalent to things. Okay, stay with me. It's going to make sense. Okay, so our physical health is a manifestation of our emotional health, which is a manifestation of our spiritual health. So I basically just summed this up, but I did it backwards to where the physical manifestation is the last thing to come, but it started here. And then burdens on our minds and in our hearts manifest as physical weight gain. So how do we get rid of it? So let's talk about shame for an example. We saw here that the predominant emotions leading to weight gain rest here. So for example, with shame, it develops in childhood and it comes from a lack of confidence. And that could be due to emotional abuse. Somebody may have made you feel bad about who you were or what you look like. You may have experienced bullying. You may not have been comfortable in your skin. And guess what? It was passed down from generations. So your grandmother or your great grandmother or even your mother may have had experiences in their lives that led to shame, and because they were unable to heal it, it just came down and it was passed down to you. So the shame might be yours and the shame might not be yours. Check out part 1 when I'm talking about the generational aspect of it. So if you don't break the cycle, like your grandmother or your mother did not break the cycle, then it will continue. So you experienced this in childhood, and that led to you having a decrease in your consciousness, and that led to you having a low confidence, and that low confidence has led you to make poor decisions, and then those poor decisions you end up inflicting onto your own children unintentionally, and then they then start to suffer from adverse childhood experiences, and it just goes around into a cycle. So we are here to break this cycle. Here are some of the adverse childhood experiences. If you've never seen what the ACEs, they call it ACE, looks like, these are some of the things that you could have experienced in your childhood that have led you to feelings of shame. And you are probably unaware that you even have these feelings of shame because they have been normalized. And so it's just the conditioning for you. So how do you get out of shame? You start to develop a positive self-image because the shame suppressed your self-image. It made you believe falsely that you were not good enough, that people didn't like you, that something was wrong with you. And so now we are working to unlearn that, because again, you may not even be consciously aware that that is where it's coming from, but that is exactly where it's coming from. So how do you work on developing a positive self-image? Forgiveness. And this is so important because we don't talk about this a lot. We talk about forgiving other people, but this doesn't have anything to do with other people. It has everything to do with yourself. And so you have to stop beating up on yourself. Forgive yourself. You have to stop letting other people berate you. So let's say that you made a mistake sometime in the past and somebody want to bring it up and be like, oh, well, you should have did that, or that shouldn't happen. You have to stop them right away and tell them, like, listen, I don't need you to beat up on me. I've done that enough for myself. So do not let other people berate you. And a part of that is setting those boundaries. You have to set boundaries with people. You have to be able to tell people no, because a lack of boundaries is the same thing as being codependent. And you want to have boundaries around you to protect your peace, to protect your mental health, your emotional health, and your spiritual health. Also, you need to know that you are enough, and you don't need to prove yourself to anyone for any reason. You are enough. Mistakes are a part of the human experience. So accept being a human. It's okay to make mistakes. Earth is a school for us. We come here because our souls want to evolve and they want to learn and they want to grow. So let it go. If you made a mistake, as we all have, it is not the end of the world. It is a part of the human experience. So I always say, be like an animal, because animals forgive themselves quickly and they move on. Think about it. If you have a dog, have you ever had your dog like chew up a shoe or do something they're not supposed to do? They will do it and they'll just walk away. They have no shame at all. The only time they start to experience shame is if we confront them about it. So if you've ever had a dog who chewed up a shoe or something and you confront the dog, and you can see the dog is kind of like looking off to the side because it has realized that it has done something wrong. But even still, they don't hold on to it. They've already forgotten that they've done it. So be like an animal and forgive yourself and move on quickly. So here are some very practical things that you could do. So things that you can do in the 5D, which again, remember, the 5D is the spiritual realm. That's the thoughts part. Pray for the strength and courage to forgive yourself. And I'll make another video about how to pray properly, because most of us don't pray properly. You are supposed to pray in the present, or really you're supposed to pray as if it has already been done for you, right? So I'll do that in another video. You have to be intentional about reaching for the feeling of emotional relief. So it's almost like you got two paths in front of you, right? And if one path feels good and the other path doesn't feel good, always take the path that feels better. And that path is called the path of least resistance. Always choose the better feeling thought. Always choose the better feeling or the better feeling emotion. If you are torn between anger and joy, choose joy, basically. Also, express gratitude for the lessons learned. Understand, again, you made some mistakes, but you're human. That's how it's supposed to be. Express gratitude for the things that you have learned so you are able to forgive yourself and move on. Also, visualize yourself overcoming the shame and living a happier life. You have to keep that mental picture in order for you to truly get to that other side. Now, here are some tools that you can use in the 4D, which is the emotional side of ourselves, which is the become. And the thoughts become things. 4D is the become. It's the intermediary between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. So you can ask for intuitive guidance from a divination professional, a tarot reader, astrology. There are tools. I consider myself a spiritualist and a metaphysician. So these divination professionals will help you understand more of who you are, which is important. They can do an intuitive reading, but you can also get your birth chart done. You can also do numerology. You can also do human design. Try to get as close as possible to understanding and knowing yourself. I do something called a soul blueprint, where I take people through a process, and I'll show a snippet on here too, where I take people through a process of filling out their information around their astrology, numerology, human design, all of those things, because it is so important for you to understand who you are at your soul level. And we think that we don't come here with a plan or a blueprint, but that's not true. We do. It's actually called our birth chart, and it's written in the stars, and it's written in the numbers. So you definitely can get closer to yourself and understanding who you are. And that is a part of your healing process. Also, develop a meditation practice for 20 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be long or drawn out. You just need time to sit and be with yourself, with no distractions from kids, from your man, from your phone, for nothing. You owe yourself that time to yourself. Also, journal when you wake up and before you go to bed at night. And make sure these are just things that you want to feel. And it's okay if you don't feel good right now. You will. You have to just keep really telling yourself, using affirmations. Here's an affirmation that I use that I got from a site called Seeking Integrity. I can love myself and accept my past. I'm a worthwhile person, exactly as God intended me to be. I am finding my integrity one day at a time. I am worthy of love and acceptance exactly as I am. And the last is actions that you could take in the 3D. That's the physical. That is the things, and the thoughts become things. Write an apology letter to those you've hurt or wronged in some way, including yourself, which is the most important part, including yourself. You don't need to give the letters to the people that you're writing to or about, but you can. Talk to a therapist. Even though I'm a spiritualist and I am more into metaphysical, I do still find some value in talking to a therapist. However, don't go into therapy sessions talking about everything that is terrible and wrong in your life. No, go to therapy talking about your joys, the things that bring you happiness and how you want to be fulfilled. Because if you go in there and you start talking about and drudging up all of this stuff from your childhood, that is not going to make you feel better. We have this like weird thing where we think that talking about our problems is somehow going to make us feel better. And it's not suppressing it if you don't. It is you actively healing in it, that if you start to bring those things up, you're just going to lower your vibration, and you want to stay on a higher frequency, because the higher the frequency is, the more weight that you will lose. You want to increase. Let me go back to my consciousness map. You're here. Remember, you're here, which is why you're having trouble losing weight. You want to get up here in this space. So you go into therapy and you down here talking about all of this, your frequency is going to be low when you're trying to go to the top of the list. Also, eat light, because shame can cause digestive issues. Stretch, because shame can cause tension in the shoulders. And you need to move your body, because somatic exercises are key. Somatic means the body. This means you need to be out walking. I take a walk every single day. I make sure I'm hitting my steps. If I don't hit my steps, I'm coming back outside to walk some more until I hit my steps. You are worthy of putting yourself first. You are. No matter if you got kids or anything, you are worthy of putting yourself first. So make that commitment to yourself, because a big part of getting rid of shame is self-love. Also, keep your head held up and back straight, because shame can destroy your posture. When you feel in this place and space of shame, you shut down. And what you want to do is you want to walk with your head held up high. It don't matter what you done did or what you done been through. You are still worthy of forgiveness, worthy of being happy, worthy of living a fulfilled and joyful life. You are still worthy of it. It does not matter what you have done. Again, I can't stress this enough. Set boundaries with people. Never allow anyone to berate you or try to make you feel bad about your past, because you've beat yourself up enough and you don't need other people to do it for you. If you need any further support or coaching, I do offer those services. I do offer intuitive readings. I do offer the soul blueprint. You can definitely hit me up and I will be happy, so happy to work with you. Take care and thank you for tuning in.